All right, well, what started out as a surprise gift for an old friend has now become another sweet ride for my collection. So to give you some background and details on this build, this is a 1980 Redline MX2. Now, this is considered one of the special models. It's US spec. It's got the hot dog logos on the frame and the forks. It's a 6-digit serial number in the 37 range. Why is that special? Well, that is the little gap between the US production and then when they sent them overseas to Japan and started the RJ serial number run. So this one fits right in between. Initially I wasn't going to build this bike, but this is kind of a tribute to my buddy that had a bike just like this, and I tried to match it in every possible way. Colors, parts, some day 2 stuff. Of course, I had to go repop on a few items just because they don't make them and you can't find them anymore, like the whale tails. But we'll go through all the pieces, parts. Hopefully you enjoy it, and kind of go from there. So, you know, first things first, I think we'll start up front. Got a good set of ACS Z rims. They had already been, you know, decaled up, which is already rubbing off because of the brakes. But I noticed something special about these. They did not have the patent pending. They had the offset on the valve stem, and they had the yellow markings on the inside. So these are more than likely graphite. So I'm going to let the brakes wear off the decal since they were already on it, and then I'll re-sticker them with the composites. But this kind of matches what was on my buddy's bike at the time. Red Z wheels, red bullseye hubs, and yeah, the blue anodized nipples, you know, that kind of color combination. So again, I wanted to match it, you know, pretty much the best I could. And for some of you, you saw my video lacing up the wheel. I mean, that was fun. I haven't done that in probably 40 years. So I got the some new stainless steel spokes and got everything laced up. So aside from that, yep, the repop on the Comp 3 tires, he had pretty much the exact same thing. Come up top on the MX brake levers. Now these are the MX ones, the repops. I could have gone 80, 81, you know, and try to match it exact, but I can't find that kind of anodizing without, you know, redoing them. So I'm okay with that. Also on the Redline fork. So my 78 Webco, I had the original Redlines. They were the 2nd gen, I think, because I did have the full stitch welding. I did have the extension on the tubes. They were not sealed. So I always thought they were Tangies, but turns out they were, you know, actual Redlines. I don't know if those are 101As or 102As, but yeah, I remember getting in an argument over all of that stuff. But these forks were actually MX2s. They've got the hot dog stamping, and they were never mounted, so they were brand new. And I actually even had to sand and kind of shave down a little bit up here on the race area just to get that Tangy flange to sit right. But they're great. And on one of my other videos, you know, I was joking that it's funny, it had been like, again, 40 years before I had 40 plus years since I'd been to the hardware store to get these little end caps. But that was fun. Coming up here to the front of the bike, got the original type die comp, you know, gold stamped brake cable, same as what the bike I'm trying to match is. You know, and I was gonna look for some maybe either Oakley 2s or just preferably Oakley 3s, because, you know, we ran through a lot of those. But I went with the Amy's. I can't even remember how many pairs of these we burned through. These are so nice and so comfortable. I always like these, very similar to the Hutch grips, but I remember how these wore down so fast. But it's a good representation, and I was very surprised trying to find these long straight pull levers. They're just like nowhere. Can't find any originals, so had to reach out over the pond to find these. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of more period correct. I do have a set of the 45-degree angle ones, but on these microline bars, man, they just don't sit right. Neither do the little 2-finger pull. I remember people always having those, and because of the bars, you know, the finger pull was like way down here. It was like, yeah, you kind of have brakes, but they don't really work. So yeah, and again, speaking of the bars, these are the MX2 microline bars. So these are the small ones. They're like 23.5 or 25.5 with a 7.5-inch rise. So this bike feels very, very small just because those bars are not very high and kind of even with the seat. So yeah, it feels like it's a little bike, but yeah, when I was like 10-11 years old, you know, it was I was a little person too. So I would have maybe upgraded to the Stu Thompson Pro bars, but the problem there is that's not what was on the bike. So yeah, again, trying to keep things as they were. We're just going to keep these, and you know, they're appropriate to the bike, and they match what was on the one that I'm trying to match. You know, of course, I got the Redline kind of period correct repop pad kit. Of course, you know, for display purposes, I hate having this one on, although, you know, it does look cool, but that's what you want to show off. And that's the microline neck, which was later called the Brute neck, which Redline never labeled it that. I think everybody else did. There was like one advertisement that referenced it as Brute parts, just because brute strength or something. Not really sure, but yeah, that looks really nice. And then coming down to the rest of the bike, of course, we've got the Cashimax plastic seat, very appropriate, matches what the bike had back then. And then, of course, all the bikes had these fluted seat posts. And that one's a, man, I don't even remember, it was like 28 inches or something. This thing is actually bottomed all the way out down to the base, but not going to really you know, be jumping and doing stuff on this particular build, so hopefully it doesn't bend. And then I got the MX clamp style, same as what my buddy had back in the day. Otherwise, most of the MX came full, especially if they were from Japan. They were all Sugino parts, so they had all Japanese parts. You know, where Redline finally determined that, you know, it's cheaper to get a whole bike built and shipped over than it is getting the frames built and assembled, you know, in the US. But so one of the other little liberties coming back down here to kind of the crank set is my again, this should have like Maxi Cross or Super Max. I don't like the Maxi Cross with the you know, silver faceplate on it, and I looked everywhere trying to match the the Campies that my buddy had on his bike, and I could not only not find a set, but certainly not find a set in a dark like cobalt blue, and we don't have any place to anodize this stuff here in town. So this is a little bit of a liberty. Sugino 44 in the front here, 16 in the back. Went with the MKS pedals. Those were kind of pre-KKT, and man, most people remember having these where, you know, you were pulling the cages off probably every week, pounding these cages back out again. We actually had like a 2x4 or 4x4 or something like that, where we did it so often we just, you know, built something with a metal pipe, or I don't remember exactly what it was, but we could put it on there and just hit it with the hammer and it was fine. And then I do very specifically remember we had a round file, and we'd come in here and file these teeth in this area because nobody could afford a Hutch bear trap. So you did what you did with what you had, and you know, made them last as long as you could. So I think this is HKS on the chain, you know, basic standard master link there. These are always fun putting together and cutting down because, man, you haven't done it in so long, so that's fun. Went with the precision bottom back bracket, which, man, I wish we had those back in the day. That was really, really nice, and you can space that out exactly where you need it. Other than that, coming around to the back side here, same thing. MX brakes with cool stop brake pads. So I haven't been on the back brakes too much yet, but same thing, Comp 3 tires, Z wheels, bullseye hubs, and just a thing on the bullseye hubs. Got a little bit of crap from people when I was lacing these up, going, you know, the logo should face the valve stem and the logo on the tire should be, yeah, that's not how they were, and that's not how you did them for display back in the day. So I'm going to call all of you out on that. When the bike is on display and you got the valve stems down, you should be able to look down on the hub and see the decal or the logo or the stamp if it's only stamped in one spot. Now, back in the 80s, like I have some Araya 7X with some Suzy hubs, you know, and they just laced them up. However, that was not something they ever looked at. But this is the correct way. When you're staring down from the bars, you should be able to see that logo. So this is the way I laced them. And I mean, if you don't like it, well, it's my bike, so whatever. As I said earlier, we have a Shimano 16 freewheel on the back. This thing is greased up, so it is super quiet, just like the bike was back in the day, because, yeah, loud sprockets and loud freewheels, that wasn't a thing. If they didn't provide any extra, you know, grab or anything like that. So we kept them pretty lubed up, and man, you could sneak up on somebody. And I'm actually surprised that these tires don't really buzz that much, but you know, it is what it is. Different compound, I guess. I did make reference to some whale tails. Now I have a set of whale tails on my Robinson Pro, 1980 Robinson Pro that I raced with, and man, that saved me, you know, during my whole race career. I wanted a set red for here. I could not find anywhere, and even looking back on BMX Museum and stuff like that, man, even some old ones went for $400-600. So fortunately, it is what it is. I wanted to also go with the old school chainstays, like what used to come on the 10 speeds for the front dropouts, and they started putting them in the back to hold the chain in place, and it didn't really fit in this dropout and was actually starting to chip up the paint. So yeah, this is a little bit of a liberty and kind of off of what the bike is, but it looks good and covers that area real nice, doesn't rub against anything. So I'm happy with the way that turned out. So other than that, though, this is the bike again, 1980, 79 and a half, 80, pre-Japan RJ model. And what I was saying about that particular design. So by what I know, and maybe some other people might kind of follow suit with that, is if you remember on an original MX2, you had a problem here with the dropouts. The dropout and this top post were welded too close that if you push the wheel all the way forward, you couldn't get a wrench or anything in there. So when they went to do the RJ model, sent it over to Japan, and pre MX3, pre Proline, pre 500s, they redesigned this little tab to give you the extra space. So most people ran it, you know, in the middle, didn't matter. But this should be one of the, like I said, hot dog stamped, 6-digit serial, US made, with the update prior to the bikes coming from Japan. So again, there's the bike. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy the details. Otherwise, I guess you could just mute the video and take it from there and just enjoy the eye candy. But this makes, I think, really from my childhood, bike number 3. I've got the 1980 Robinson Pro. That's a Bobby Woods model with a US bottom bracket. That is the bike I raced throughout, like 80 all the way till now. I still have it exactly the way it was. I've got my 84, 85 Hutch Trickstar. That one's pretty much original. I chased down a lot of OEM parts on that one to make it the way it was, since I was denied that bike as a child. And then this one, like I said, started out as a surprise gift. I'm kind of keeping it now for my collection, and again, it's a tribute to the bike exactly the way it was back in the day. And then, kind of long story short, that bike kind of got torn down and parted out, and the frame and forks went to a friend. He had them, I guess, for maybe 30 or 35 years, and then for some reason sold them off, or sold that bike off. And you know, as another one of my friends that says, you know, man, I really wish I still had whatever. So last in my kind of quest is a 26-inch, I believe, Cruiser Gold RRS. So if anybody knows the one out there, let me know. So, all right, well, hope you enjoy the video, and we'll see you on the next one.